Welcome, welcome, welcome to the podcast of Wake Up Church. We've been asleep for too long. This is your host, Dr. Rosalind Best. Today's broadcast is being sponsored by bestlegacyfoundation.org. Please visit the website for opportunities for scholarships, mentorships, and a chance to leave a lasting legacy. Today's podcast is entitled, It's So Hard to Do the Right Things When I Still Love the Wrong Things. Oh, come on with me. We got to get it. There's an old saying, everything that's good to you ain't good for you. Think about that now. There was this one particular song that came to mind. Luther Ingram's sang a song. If loving you is wrong, I don't want to be right. What? Being alone means being without you. I'd rather be wrong than right. That brother was in some obsession and lust, because that sounds more like something that's controlling. That's not love. Sex can be one of the most powerful connections between people, whether they're committed or uncommitted. Some of the memories that you've encountered and experienced being with Mr. Wrong, they can creep into our sleep. They can even come into our waking hours, and at any given time, they can disturb our peace of mind. The misleading things about memories, and we have to be careful of this, we as humans are able to capture and recall the good things that we've experienced and forget about the bad, painful memories we experience as well, which is what I refer to as selective memory recall. You forgot that you bust the windows out his car. Doom, doom, doom. Instead, you are reminisce on the love we had. You reminiscing, and you forgot about how you was dissing and disrespecting on social media. Oh, come on. And for my foodie folks, including myself, those of us that are food connoisseurs, Jesus, take the wheel, take the car, because we're struggling. Commercials are strategically designed to capture our attention and subliminally arouse our taste buds and sense of pleasure. It's that pleasure principle Janet Jackson sang is about. What we see is our eye gate. What we smell is our nose gate. What we hear is our ear gate. And what we touch is our hands and finger gates. It gives access to all of the pleasure principles and pleasure sensory areas of our lives. And there is a tangible ability to recall incredible memories that are not worth holding on to. But we have to be honest with God. God, it's hard for me to do the right thing when I still love doing the wrong things. Ooh, be honest with God if you can't be honest with nobody else, because He's the one that can help us. How many of you remember this? 2 all beef patty special, sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. Hold the pickle, hold the lettuce, special orders, don't upset us. All we ask is that you let us have it your way. Have it your way. Have it your way at Burger King. Better pizza, better ingredients, Papa John's. No one can out pizza the Hut. These are all of the tantalizing stimuli in our media that comes through the eye gate, the ear gate, that cause us to thirst after the wrong things. How can I get help to stop doing the wrong things that I love? You might ask. As a disclaimer, I'm not an expert, but I do have experiences that I can share with you, and I hope it provides encouragement and strength to say no to the wrong things. Remember, strongholds, the word translate a hot bed. What? If the private parts, the vajayjay, and that beautiful thing that hangs, if they get in a hot bed, it's going to be an instrument of wickedness and sin that is going to be launched against us because it involves our emotional, our physical, sexual, and mental components in order for it to take us into a bondage of guilt and shame. And it distracts us to a point of we incarcerating our own self in a mental prison of no self-control that leads to a dead end. None of us cannot afford to live less than the best life God has designed for us. 6 steps I'm going to give you as tools that I hope you can glean from and begin to make incremental changes to better your life. Number 1, stop making excuses and stop accepting excuses. I can start my diet next week. Sometimes we say that to ourselves. And next week turns into next month. And then there are 3 months later. And before we know it, a year has passed and we haven't moved any fat from off our assets. Number 2, if you are not preparing to live, then you are preparing to already die. Let me say it again. If you're not preparing to live, then you are already planning to die. Instead of saying, I need to lose 50 pounds, I break it down into 5-pound increments. Because by the inch, it's a cinch. By the yard, it's hard. So think about that. What are we preparing for? For life or for a funeral? Because I have to do what's necessary to preserve this life. Number 3, birds of a feather flock together. Now, I joined LA Fitness, which is where I'm going to be going after this podcast. And being in an environment around other successful people that are achieving, maintaining, and working towards their weight loss goals inspires me to do so much more for myself. If you have to change the company you keep, be willing to do so if for a season, a specific reason, and possibly a change for a lifetime. You will have friends you grow up with. And hopefully you don't have to grow apart unless your lives are going in 2 different directions. For example, the sunflower does not grow in the direction of a sweet potato. One is a flower, one is a root. They both grow in the ground. They have a commonality, but the sunflower grows up towards the sun, and the sweet potato is a root, and it grows larger as it is buried down in the earth. So neither one of them can change their designated paths, but accept it and live their best as vegetation. Number 3, your heart is like a sponge. Now, once it gets wet, it absorbs so much more of what you need to get rid of. And you need to throw away the old sponge, i.e., Throw away those old pictures. Throw away that jewelry that he bought or she bought you. Throw away the clothing, the sexy lingerie, anything that reminds you of the connection you had with somebody that you were not supposed to be connected with. Be willing to purge your wardrobe, purge your life of the things that remind you and cause you to reminisce. God said, think on these things, forgetting those things which are behind me. How you going to forget them if you got the ring set he gave you sitting right there with all your jewelry? Some things you need to segregate. Some things you need to give away. Some things you need to throw away. It's on us. Number 4, life is not a remote control. So you have to get up and change it yourself. I saw that on Facebook. A student of mine, Ashley Burden, she had that posted. Life is not a remote control. It won't be easy, but it will be worth it. Every single degree of change from the original plan, over time, it becomes a gaping distance between where you started and where you are right now. Be willing to tell yourself, I can't settle for Mr. Right Now when God got Mr. Now and Forever waiting for me. Don't allow that space to be occupied by a temporary when you deserve a permanent, long-term, committed. Number 5, if you keep doing what you've always done, then you'll always get what you've always gotten. Many of us have heard that, but I don't know if we honestly believe that. For an example, you might have dated a married man and found yourself later on, years down the road, dating another married man, expecting a different outcome. The narrative ends the exact same way. Just give it enough time. Time will eventually tell on everybody. The scenario might change, but the story will have the same final ending. You might even marry the married man. But you getting hurt and disappointed, I'm sorry. It's inevitable. It will happen. You can change the narrative by asking God for his help in choosing, because he will help us. And number 6, if we don't feel we deserve better, I'm preaching to myself, we will accept less than. The scripture says, as a man thinketh in his heart, not his mind, not his memory, not his recall, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. What do you feel you're worth? Claiming our true identity is possible, and it's necessary for us to be equipped to live the best life that God has planned for us, to live our best life. If we don't know how God honestly feels about us, we haven't identified power scriptures that describe the way God feels about us, we will think that he's just this supreme being and he has no ability to connect with us as humans, even though he created us. Many of those of you listening have experienced dealing with tarot cards, Ouija boards, witches, palm readers, psychics, clairvoyant, fortune tellers, false prophets, mind readers, mediums, necromancers, those that talk to the dead, crystal gazers, and astrologers and prognosticators. Again, people that think they know your identity and can give you nuggets about your future. That can only come from God. You know, the struggle is real, but the remedy is a resolution. It's not a gimmick. It's exactly what you need to be able to sever yourself from every connection that God has not purposed. Can we do this? Absolutely. We must.